part of information we got from the Shaolin Temple. Okay, so when we bow here, okay, 左青龍右白虎. Okay, there's a sayings like left green dragon, the right side the white tigers. Tigers is action give you experience and forms habits and muscle memories. One of the key elements of Shaolin Temple, the key is not theory, but action. It's through direct experience that you become awakened. Okay, so this is the tiger. Of course, you can practice hard, you can just train, but yet you still need to understand. And understand comes from concept, theories, and principles. Well, that is the green dragon, the left side. So the green dragon, the left side contain the unseen. Now, dragon is a mythical creature. I mean, there's no real dragons. Okay? If you go to China, it's like a whole bunch of animals formed together to create the mythical dragon. So dragon is the unseen, the tiger is the visible. Okay, so this also kind of teaches the internal triads, which is thinking, emotion, feeling, and action and experience. So think, feel, and act. Those three things. Thinking is heaven, feeling is earth, action is human. Again, heaven, human, earth. Okay? And as a matter of fact, I believe we do have a chart back here that talks about it. So we have what we call external triad, time, space, energy, internal triad, thinking, feeling, and action. So your real teacher is your tiger and dragons. Now, if you think about it, over time, through training, your action become muscle memories. Because in real combat, you don't have time to think. Student asks, hey, Sifu, when am I ready? If you have to think about it, it's already too late. So once you practice something that becomes your subconscious mind, which is your muscle memory, then you're ready. And the subconscious mind is much more capable than the conscious mind. Okay? So thinking and the emotion is the unseen part. But the important thing is they are all under our control. What does that mean? Okay? The only thing you can control in this world is yourself. And that consists of your own thinking, your own feeling, and then your own action. So the Shaolin wisdom is that we train to master ourselves by controlling our thinking, feeling, and action. And we harmonize with the here and now. What's the most important time and space is the here and now. When you harmonize the external circumstances, okay, with the time and space, that is the here and now. So externally, we speak of harmony with the reality of the moment. That is the fighting skill. Right? If you're 1 second late, 1 second early, you're no longer here now. So you get hit. Okay? So there is much more deeper philosophy and learning just on the triad alone. But I want to just kind of touch on the meaning of this tiger and dragons. Okay? You know, back in the days, 70s, Kung Fu series, David Carradine, when he came out of the temple, you know, he branded himself. It's actually, there's some merits to it, okay? So, dragon on the left, tiger on the right. The way that we teach is based on our research, okay? So if you come to a Wing Chun school and then you see a whole bunch of people doing high kicks or doing some grappling or doing jab cross, say, oh, I'm here to learn Wing Chun. You guys not doing Wing Chun. Look like an MMA gym to me. Well, again, fighting have no looks to it. Okay. I'll tell you a quick story. during the early days, Yip Man's clan become famous in Hong Kong because they tested it out. Okay, so famous story. Young Bruce Lee, he was in his teens. He went for Gong Sao, which let the hand do the speaking, which is the challenge matches. And he was already doing challenge matches when he was still in the Silim Tao stage. Now, if you learn Silim Tao, right, you know, it's not like there's a lot of kicks. Definitely no knees and elbows during that time, okay? So one of the stories is that Bruce Lee fought this kid, well, because they're teenagers, right? This guy went under and start tackle, but his head went down, and Bruce Lee naturally knocked him out with a knee. So one of the Yip Man's students, I'm not sure it's Si Hing or Si Dai or Bruce, went back to Yip Man and say, "Oh, Sifu, Bruce Lee won, but he didn't do Wing Chun." So now, Bruce Lee, okay, so if somebody's head went down, okay, and your most direct straight line, okay, and your knee is closest, so you do a knee technique. So that is Wing Chun. It's most efficient. It's the most direct way. Okay, so this is the problem with martial art. They kind of go for the look. If you don't have a look of certain art form, then therefore you're not doing it. Well, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be disrespectful. Most of these people think like that is what Bruce Lee called illusion, attachment to style. There is no look in certain fights. If you fight long range and you want to maximizing your straight punch from every corner of the world, every timeline, 100 years ago, 300 years from now, if you take a human body that want to punch straight, furthest distance, it would look like a front jab. But people like to label that, oh, that's boxing. Now, if you shorten the distance, right, by the way, the long range we call heaven. Now, if you're right in front of me here, you don't throw a jab anymore. So therefore, there's no jab at a shorter distance, not because of style. Therefore, we have the vertical punch, a short straight punch. So if you have somebody design a short straight punch, it will look like a Wing Chun punch. So you have to understand the mechanics behind it, not, oh, if you do vertical punch, that makes you a Wing Chun guy. If you do jab cross, that makes you a boxing, okay? It's because in the original Wing Chun, they are at a time, they still using cold combat, hand-to-hand combat, weapons, knife, and poles for life and death situations. So you better know everything. So if you come to a battleground and all you do is this mid-range, human range, and you don't have any long-range tools, long kicking, long striking, and then by the time people tackle you, take you to the ground, you don't have any grappling skills we call earth skill, you're not even gonna live first time in the battlefield, okay? So that's why, number one, Wing Chun is a complete system. Our long pole is old ancient spears, which is much longer than a regular pole. So as a concept art, we have long weapons. Then we have not a large blade, but good sized blade, okay? Which still give you extension of distance. Symmetrical, both sides. Once you lose the long weapon, the short weapons, then your body becomes the weapons. So first, if you're in a martial art, you have to understand what is reality of hand-to-hand combat. We're talking about hand-to-hand combat. What have MMA proven? Not certain styles better. First, if you look around, the specialists are not winning anymore. Okay? So it was the specialists that created UFC. And they are the famous Gracie Jiu-Jitsu family. Before they came onto the scene, they pioneered, they sharpened up their tools in Brazil under full contact conditions. And they specialize on the ground. That's one reality of fighting. So first, when they came over, at that time, U.S. martial art community, nobody really trained ground fighting. Okay, you got kickboxing, you got Muay Thai, you got all of the full contact sports, all stand up games. So here comes an expert on the ground. All they have to do is just close the gap, take you down. Now you don't have the human structure for power. You start kicking and punching like little kids with no structure on the ground, then they tap you out. So this is the reality of combat. So in traditional Kung Fu, we know this. It's called Ti Da Suai Na. If you do hand-to-hand combat, first you have to know is all combat come from those 4 categories. Kicking, the use of the legs, okay, ball of the foot, bottom of your foot, heel, edge, shin, knees, all sweeps, okay, everything. Strike with the hand, strike with the palm, strike with the elbow, forearm, strike with the elbow, everything. Headbutt, then swipe, takedown, throwing, tackle, anti-takedown, sweep, then control and combat submissions. Combat submission is where I break your joint in such an explosive, fast way you don't have time to tap. Those are combat use. Okay, now if you need to subdue, take a prisoner on the battlefield, maybe you need to learn some tap out move. Okay, so but anyway, the reality of fighting is kick, strike, takedown, submission. So if your system does not have that, then it's probably a combat sport. Almost every ancient system, okay, have those moves. Okay, if you look at, let's say a famous Hun guard, okay, they have everything. Okay, you just gotta look for it. Most of the time, they're all in their traditional Taolu, traditional forms. Okay, so kick, strike, takedown, submission. So that is the first reality. So if you say, well, Wing Chun is a stand-up art and it's known for its fast hands, you just kind of limited Wing Chun in the reality of combat. Okay. That is what MMA have awakened the martial art community. So now, first, you gotta be all-round, okay? All-round martial artists. Long range, mid range, close range, heaven, human, earth, we refer that as, and then kick, strike, takedown, submission, okay? But why does Wing Chun fight at the distance we call the trapping range or the mid range? Okay, in Shaolin Wing Chun, we call that human range. Outside of that is heaven. Once your body touch my body from standing up to the ground, that's earth. Heaven, human, earth. This is also heaven, human, earth. Okay, so we use that heaven, human, earth in many different contexts. Because at this mid range, you can use both hands, both feet simultaneously. That's form of efficiency. Because if you have 4 limbs, you can only use 1 limb at a time. It's not efficient, right? If I punch long, I can't use this until I have to change my whole movement. That's the problem with long range. You gotta be fast, okay? So in the mid range, you can use all 4 limbs, and you can apply kick, strike, takedown, and submission, okay? And you pack that in a formula where you're maximizing the human skeleton, we call triangulations, give it its maximum efficiency of perfect time, perfect space, perfect energy. Okay, so we need to know why we need to fight at this battle space. There's a practical reason, and it's a very advanced thinking. It is not a look. Okay, so at this moment, I'd like to maybe show you or give you an example, right? Okay, my assistant Alex here is gonna kind of point it up so I can explain it a bit more deeper with the concept that we've been talking about, right? So at this range here, we actually call this heaven, because if I square up like a Wing Chun guy, none of my tools can hit him. But how can I bridge the gap without moving in? right? By the way, this is what we call Wing Chun 9 gates, okay? So by turning sideways, this is universal true for all humans. For me to extend myself, I turn sideways. So now watch, now I can touch him, okay? So again, this is not a look, not a style. So if I turn sideways, in Wing Chun, we call this the 3 gates or the 6 gate. When you square up, it's 9 gates. So there's the mechanics. Your body needs to set up for long range at a heaven distance and a long distance, okay? So now, if I stand more of a 9 gate, that means I cannot reach him. So tactically, that means I'm waiting for him to come in, which is okay. But I prefer to stand at a 6 gate. Now, when you start playing the weapon, the pole and the knife, this is where you see the long combat fighting posture come from, okay? So for example, right? At this distance, I can only kick and strike. It would be dumb or inexperienced for people to think about doing submission or even tackle him this far away. Okay, so experienced fighter would not do that. So typically you would throw something and breach the gap. Okay, from heaven distance going into human distance. Okay, so I'm gonna let him come to me. Let's say he does something typical as a jab, right? Does a park. Now he gave me the distance. I did not retreat, I didn't move forward, right? So, but look, my hands are in the distance, my foot are in the distance, right? I can do submission, right? I can do different submission, and the takedown is definitely there. So at this distance, kick, strike, takedown, submission is possible. Earlier, at a longer distance, the takedown, submission, not possible. The problem is, what if he grab me now, right? What if he grab me now? There's limited strike. There's still limited use of knee. I definitely would not think about high kicks, right? But the problem here, this is completely engaged. In an ancient battlefield, right? It's like a street fight. You're not there to test your skill to win over your opponents. Okay? There could be 2 guys, 3 guys fighting. Once you commit to grappling, you are committed. But suddenly, if there's someone else coming, I can't just back away. So when you're in a grappling mode, the problem with that is your kick and strike will be limited, but the takedown submission is possible. But you lose the option of disengage or back off. And definitely tactically wrong if you're dealing with multiple opponents, okay? I need that space if I'm dealing with if I want more options. So going back to Wing Chun, we decide that this mid-range, okay, you look at the simple move again, okay? All right, just a boom, right? Allow me to have quick movements, okay, and many different options, both hand, both feet. But suddenly, if his partner come, I can quickly back off. So I have options: go in, go out, both hands, both feet, kick, strike, takedown, submit, and in a way that give us efficiency of movements. Okay, so that means I wouldn't be have big movement like that, right? So the form teach us where your hand goes. Okay, I need to cover my upper gate. Okay, so all of this give us a very unique space of combat, and this is what they created. As far as my lineage concerned, right, coming from the red flag, the black flag, okay, some of the older version of Wing Chun, that this is how we understand. Okay, Wing Chun was created where we can utilize everything we just mentioned at a time where most people, they just go from long range to grappling, long range to grappling. Actually, you see that today in MMA. Most people, they don't stay here. Maybe once in a while, elbows and knee. They go long range, grab, long range grab. So this Wing Chun distance, there's a reason for that, not because, oh, this is the look of Wing Chun. Okay?
Yes, sir.